Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite footballer updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back here with you on this beautiful Wednesday night, the 4th of February 2026. As we speak, the second semi-final of the Carabao Cup or the EFL Cup is in action, with Manchester City already taking the lead by a goal to nil. That goal scored by Omar Mamosh, the Egyptian international, while Newcastle have already missed two golden opportunities to go to get some goals in this tie, because they are yet to find the back of the net. Remember, they lost the first leg by 2 goals to nil. Those goals by Ryan Cherki and Antoine Semenyo. So really, I will be looking at what the starting 11s look like for both sides, and then we'll take it from there. But you'll allow me have audios tested just to make sure everything does check out before we proceed any further with tonight's broadcast. Okay, just a second. Really. Beautiful action ongoing there. So trust me when I say you're not missing much. But yeah, apologies. Looks like our audios check out clearly well without any hitch. For those of you that are just joining the channel, always a pleasure to be with you here on every evening. We are here every evening, Monday to Friday at 11 p.m. Sometimes we may be a bit late, but we endeavor to be here. And then and then, of course, in the morning at 9 a.m., sometimes at 9:30, depending, because these days we've been trying to accommodate our friends from around Europe some bit of time, given that we are in Uganda, 3 hours ahead of them. So to make sure that they do not miss much, we tend to push that morning broadcast by 30, 40 minutes sometimes, just to make sure that they do catch up with us for our respective broadcasts. But yeah. Oh, was wondering why something is not doing what I expect it to do. But anyways, it's all good. It's all good. You know, these things regarding technology can tend to be a nightmare. In the morning, we ran a poll asking who do you think will make it to the final between Newcastle and Manchester City, and majority of you guys said Man City will make it. Tonight, we'll be talking about Pep Guardiola, who is not expected to extend his contract beyond 2027 when it does officially run out, even though there are already questions on whether he will go beyond this season. So yeah, all that will be up for debate or for discussion, in as far as things go there. So really, a lot of things are happening in there, but that story brought by Sami Mokbel of BBC Sport, saying that Pep Guardiola is not expected to extend his contract beyond the current season. All right. Anyways, so quickly, in terms of team news from the two sides, even though the game is already run, almost we are heading towards the half-hour mark point of this game already. But here is a look at the starting 11s. Manchester City have James Trafford in goal, who has already made two significant saves against Joe Willock, and I do not remember particularly the other against, but they do have James Trafford in goal, Matthias Nunes at right back, Nico O'Reilly at left back, with Koshanov and Nathan Ake in the center back pairing, Nico Gonzalez at the pivot of that midfield, with Tijad Riendas, Phil Foden, Ryan Atnery, and Anton Semenyo up there in the wings with Omar Mamouche leading the lines. There on the bench, Manchester City do have Gianluigi Donnarumma, Ruben Diaz, Brad Erling Haaland, Ryan Cherki, Rodrigo Cascante Hernandez, this name, Nyapan. I hope I pronounced that well. Hi, Daniel Tuton. Always a pleasure to see you around. But severe Nyapan. Then Ryan Mark Aido, Max Alenya, Rico Reus complete Pep Guardiola's bench. On the side of Newcastle, they have Aaron Ramsdale in goal. They went for a back three of Dan Burn, Steven Botman, and Malik Thiaw, with the wing backs as Lewis Hall and Kieran Trippier, while Sandro Tonali and Jacob Ramsey form the middle pack. Ahead of them is Anthony Gordon, Nick Voltmada, and Joe Willock. I pulled my hamstring again. Sorry about that. Daniel Tuton there, an academy player, at least by his own attestation. Oh, Matthias Nunes getting himself in the referee's book for polling. I think, was it Lewis Miley? Sorry, Lewis Hall. I think there. Anyways, so Newcastle on the bench, they have Nick Pope, Yohan Wissa, they have Harvey Barnes, William Osula, Anthony Elanga, Jacob Murphy, Alex Murphy, Leo Shaha, as well as Sean Nueva, Nueve, something like that. Anyways, okay, sorry. Somebody just sent me a text message here, and hey, oh, come on, Manchester City half squad to make it 2-0, and yeah, really, will that stand? Apologies. Okay. Guys, forgive my submission. Oh, that was a beautiful attempt. But James Trafford, always up to the challenge. Thanks to the captain, Kieran Trippier. Meanwhile, I was saying, you'll forgive my feed. It's a couple of seconds behind, but Manchester City through Anton Semenyo. Omar Mamouche with the second. Omar Mamouche. Remember, he scored a hat trick. He's scored a hat trick before against this Newcastle side. So they are pushing Manchester City into a very, very comfortable lead in this tie. I mean, they're going to play with so much freedom. They have nothing to lose. And I did talk about this, that it was going to be a huge conundrum for Eddie Howe, because you're 2-0 behind. If you believe you have a chance, you have to go for it and find that early goal that halves the defeat. But then, while trying to ensure that you do not concede on the other side, they've done to the contrary of that, and they're already 2-0 down. And so Man City lead a tie by 4-0 on aggregate. So it's safe to say the tie is as good as gone. Even though in football anything can happen, seriously, you do not see Manchester City squandering that a 4-0 aggregate lead to lose by 5-4 in the fixture. So, and you could see Pep Guardiola celebrating like it's and when you see how Pep Guardiola celebrates that goal, it informs you of the significance of the moment, being a semi-final. It tells you the significance of the occasion, being a semi-final of the EFL Cup. It tells you how much he values the competition. I was saying this earlier on in a TikTok forum, and saying that if anything, Pep Guardiola never despises any competition. For any competition you put at his disposal, he always wants to win. Hi, Hi, Chetan. Good to have you back on the broadcast. Chetan was with us for the better part of last night. Is a watch along between Chelsea and Arsenal, which Arsenal eventually managed to win by a goal to nil, thanks to that late goal by Kai Havertz in the 97th minute of the game with Agbury, the last kick of the game. So it's always a pleasure to see you around, Chetan. I hope you've had a wonderful day. I understand it's about 1:33 a.m. Over there in India. For us, it's 11:33 East African time back here at home in Kampala, Uganda. But so far, it's been an end-to-end kind of game. Only that Manchester City have been the more effective in front of goal, while Newcastle on the other side have made James Trafford look like prime Iker Casillas or Gigi Buffon in that way. So my prediction, like I told you, I do expect a final I do expect a final of Arsenal versus Manchester City, which is a memory of the 2018 EFL Cup final, in which Manchester City beat up against Arsenal by 3 goals to nil. Those goals scored by um, David by Sergio Cunaguero, Vincent Company, and David Silva, which was Pep Guardiola's first piece of silverware in English football before they went on to win the league that season. Wow. Tijan Reinders scores to make it a 3-0. I mean, another quick counter-attack, and on they go Man City. Dan Ban, Steven Botman can hardly believe what they are watching. They can hardly believe what they're seeing. Buddy, not knowing, you're not knowing, you're not knowing. Yeah, we are talking about football, and I was giving you just a bit of a background to the EFL Cup and in relation to Manchester City and Arsenal. Oh, come on. Again, Man City win the ball back, quick transitions through midfield. Newcastle are exposed. It's 2 versus 2. The other two are just chasing back. Oh, oh. Tijan Reinders carries the ball literally across the entire field, passes it to Anton Semenyo, who tries to dribble past one of those Newcastle defenders, who deflects the ball into the path of a following. It was Dan Ban who deflects it in the path of an oncoming Tijan Reinders, and he literally places that to the other side of the bottom corner. We could be in for a Newcastle rout. And I said this, whereas I did not expect the scoreline to be this, because my prediction was a 2-1 victory for Manchester City. Oh my, Newcastle could be in for a very long night. We could see Man City literally embarrassing them. They come in this fixture, Newcastle, on the back of a 4-1 loss to Liverpool. And I did say earlier on that Newcastle are far from the team that we saw last season. They've struggled in the Premier League. They've managed to do on overall basis well in the UEFA Champions League, where they are in the playoff places, and they have a Karabakh to play in the playoff. But I mean, the ease with which Manchester City are finding spaces between the lines is almost incredible here. Was that not Nico Gonzalez who did the pull again? If you're Man City, you're not even worried about defending. Wow. It's the cricket we follow. Okay. It's the World Cup. Yeah, I understand. You can give us any updates from the Cricket World Cup that may have come henceforth to you. Yesterday, you did inform us that USA had beaten on Pakistan Isabella Martin also reunites back with us. Always a pleasure to see you around, Isabella Martin. Kindly do us the absolute usual honors of liking the broadcast, but it's always a pleasure to see you around on our broadcast. I hope you've had a wonderful day on your end there. Oh, I mean, meanwhile, there are other games being played in the Coppa Italia, as well as the Coppa della Re. In the Coppa Italia, in the quarterfinal, Inter Milan are 1-0 up against Torino. That goal scored by Boni. Then in the Copa del Rey quarterfinals, Deportivo Aves are leading by 2-1 against Real Sociedad, while Valencia and Athletic Bilbao, that game is 1-1 as we speak. In the DFB Pokal Cup, Holstein against Kiel, that's the quarterfinals, are up against VfB Stuttgart. That game is at halftime and it's still goalless. While in Coupe de France, Laurier and Paris is 0-0, as is Lyon against Laval. Nice and Montpellier leading by 0-0, while Toulouse are leading Ain, Amiens by a 0-0. Then Troyes and Lens, RC Lens, is still goalless. So those are the cup competitions that are ongoing, and that is what you're probably missing up on when it comes to that. The final of the EFL Cup, for those of you that are interested in knowing, will be played on the 22nd, Sunday, March 2026. That's more than a month from now, about a month and a half from now. So, I wonder why Pep Guardiola is not constantly giving Tijani Reinders game time. He's such an effective attacker. Smacks that attempt in Ramsdale's lower belly. Looked a bit nasty. Hope it didn't catch his one of sensitive areas there. Karemuncho. This is Muhammad Moise says hello from Qatar. Oh, Muhammad Moise is the first person to join us on the Football Tribe UG channel from Qatar. Hi, Muhammad. Salam alaikum. I'm not a Muslim, just extending a courtesy greeting. I hope you're okay. How is Qatar? Qatar, famously known for hosting the 22 FIFA World Cup. Quite the experience that was with Argentina emerging victorious when they beat France in the finals. So beautiful stuff. How is Qatar? Let us know, Muhammad. But it's a pleasure to see you around on the broadcast. Kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel. Basically, I'm from Pakistan. You're from Pakistan working in Qatar, whichever the case. But wherever it is you're joining us from, it's a pleasure to have you on the channel. Whether you're from Pakistan, whether from Qatar, or any other part of the world, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. The rate at which Man City have dominated this game, it doesn't feel like a semi-final. Beyond Pep Guardiola's celebrations, there's nothing about it that makes it feel like a semi-final. I mean, Man City are dominating possession to the tune of 61%, 5 shots on target, 1 off target compared to Newcastle's 2. I mean, they've had 5 blocked shots for Man City. They're just dominating every aspect of the game. Tijani Reinders, so far for me, has been my man of the match. Of course, one would easily argue Omar Mamouche because of the burst that he's already scored. But oh my, what a game. One time I'll say to come Pakistan and stay in my home. Oh, are you the one who invited me to Pakistan for a visit? I think it was you who said I shouldn't worry about the ticket and accommodation. But thank you so much, Muhammad. Thank you for the invitation. I do appreciate the spirit of it. Well, once I have things, my life in order in terms of travel documents and things like that, I start honoring some of those invitations. I've been invited to India, I've been invited to Indonesia, to Bangladesh, to Pakistan. Yes, yes, I remember. So I've been invited to South Africa. Yeah, I think those are the countries so far. I've not received any invitation from the UK, from Scotland, although we had somebody from Scotland. Then the US, we've had a couple of people from the US, somebody from Ohio. Then there was another from, was it San Francisco? Oh, I don't remember particularly well, but there's been a couple of figures here. One of them was called Snow something. I forget the other name. Nico Gonzalez with a powerful shot from distance, but it went straight to Aaron Ramsdale. There, we're into the 43rd minute of the game, and Man City are leading by 3 goals to 0. Like I said, they've made it look less of the semi-final that it is than a regular game of football. Almost feels like a friendly game for Man City. But please come for love. Come stay in my home. Thank you so much for the invitation. Now, guys, like I told you, I'll be telling you about Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola is not expected to extend his deal at Manchester City beyond 2027. We know that his current contract runs until June 2027. Although before we even get to there, there's been lots and lots of speculations on his future with the bookies, and some speculation coming out of Manchester City that he could leave at the end of the current season. Reports have also gone on to indicate that Manchester City have already started doing their groundwork, preparing themselves for a potential Pep Guardiola exit. All your expenses I will pay. Thank you. Okay. So, I mean, we already know that they've done background work on Enzo Maresca. Recently, Xabi Alonso has been reported to be added to the list, with another third potential figure expected to be added on that shortlist. Now, of course, throughout the entire campaign, Pep Guardiola these questions have been put henceforth to Pep Guardiola, who is denied any of them, saying, guys, unless you're tired of me, but I am still here. I still have a whole year left to my current contract. You know, as things became tougher and tougher throughout the campaign, given the overall lack of, consistency across the entire campaign for Manchester City, speculation at one point even had it that perhaps he could not see out, that he may not see out the remainder of the season, which of course he denied, and he kept on saying, unless you are tired of me, but you still have to deal with me, I'm still here, I still have a contract left, it's time on my contract. And so this was revealed by Sami Mokbel of BBC Sport. He said Pep Guardiola not expected to renew a deal at Manchester City that expires in 2027, as uncertainty hangs over whether he sees out the final year, which is next season, 2026-2027. We were having a glimpse there of Braut Erling Haaland, who started on the bench today in this semi-final. You say, okay, please also meet Ronaldo CR7 in Qatar. Oh, you met Cristiano Ronaldo in Qatar. When was that? I know he's playing in the Saudi Pro League at Al Nassr, where he's been reported to be in protest over what he deems to be a lack of investment from the Saudi investment fund. I think it's called is it called the Public Investment Fund of Saudi, for a lack of investment in his club Al Nassr, in comparison to teams like Al Hilal there. So, and we know that Al Hilal did sign Karim Benzema from Al Ittihad there in the final days of the transfer window over there in the Saudi Pro League. So, if you met Cristiano Ronaldo, congratulations to you. I mean, there's a great deal of people who would love to meet him someday across the entire globe. So if that's almost that would be a dream come true. People like Speed have had the chance of meeting him a couple of times. Okay, you meet for 1 hour, really? Hmm. Did you meet him one on one, or you saw him in the area? So, anyways, regarding the future of Pep Guardiola, I mean, the rumors are not going to go away until the end of the season, and even at the very end of the season. Although recently he was criticizing the club, or he appeared to criticize the club for a lack of sufficient spend on transfers. In when he learned that Manchester City are not as high as some other clubs when it comes to net spend. Oh wow! That was a beautiful attempt from Nick Voltmada, but James Trafford once again proving his quality. Still a youngster, I think, what, probably 23 years of age, resigned from Burnley in the summer, and then they went on to sign Gianluigi Donnarumma. But he's such a decent goalkeeper. Still has a lot to learn, but he's looking really, really brilliant. He's looking brilliant tonight. James Trafford was at Burnley last season. He did play for Burnley in the 2023-2024 campaign in the Premier League when they were still under the charges of Vincent Company. So only 23 years of age, turns 24 in October, but he's such a very, very decent goalkeeper. Now, I don't know if this is fortunate or unfortunate for him, because he's playing in a team that has Gianluigi Donnarumma, who is only 3 years older than he is, so who turns 27 come February 25th, around there. So, I mean, it's almost like does Andre McDusterdeny and Manuel Neuer kind of story. Of course, are not the same in terms of goalkeeping quality. That sort of thing where you come out and you're a very, very good person. You don't believe? No, it's not that I don't believe. I just wanted you to confirm whether you're saying you met him one on one for 1 hour, or you are seeing him in the area. Because, for example, if I go to a concert and I meet Rihanna and I say hi to her, and then for the rest of time I'm watching her just like the entire crowd, then I that's still a meeting, But meeting that person for the entirety of 1 hour, unless you're some business mogul over there in Asia. But anyways, that game has gone into halftime with Manchester City leading by 3 goals to nil, thanks to a brace from Omar Mamouche and a goal from Tijan Riendas. But Man City have looked really, really brilliant on both ends. James Trafford has made 3 brilliant saves already in the first half, while Aaron Ramsdale on the other side has made 2 saves, I think, while conceding 3 already. But yeah, Man City looking really, really electric. And again, this is what Man City are capable of. This is the kind of team that is really capable of wooing you away, that is capable of going on a run over 14 games unbeaten. And that's why they remain a huge threat to Arsenal when it comes to the Premier League title race. And even though Arsenal lead the Premier League title race by 6 points, you can almost feel that nervousness. You can almost feel the uncertainty or that title push within a fair share. I won't say majority, but within a fair share of the Arsenal fan base, because they know they've seen it before. Man City are coming, from point deficits to go ahead and win Premier League titles. Pep Guardiola, I mean, he's blown his own trumpet when it's come to footballing experience and things like that. So it's been really really brilliant to sort of see, and that's why he says, or you expect that, excuse me, that's why he said at one point that I've been here before. There's still many games to play, because I remember, was it over the weekend when he was being asked whether he's going to prioritize other competitions over the Premier League? And he said, you mean forget about the Premier League? And he wasn't having it, because he knows they are still 14 games left to play. And in those 14 games, a lot can happen. There's still a lot to play for, A lot can happen. There's still a lot to play for in those 14 games. So there's still a whole 42 points to play for. So when you add those 42 points to what they already have, I think 47 points, they end up at 89 points, which are in the 2022-2023 Premier League season was their point study to go ahead and win the Premier League title, 5 points ahead of Arsenal, who finished at 84 points. So, I mean, he knows that one too well. He knows that this 6 point gap or difference between them and Arsenal is not too big a milestone. Why? Because first of all, he knows that Arsenal still have to play Chelsea in the Premier League, that there's a possibility of Arsenal dropping points in there. He knows that Arsenal still have to play, they still have to play teams like Newcastle, whereas they're not in the best of form. They are capable of causing them an upset. Teams like Everton, teams like West Ham. You remember in that 2022-2023 campaign when West Ham held Arsenal to a 2-all draw, albeit Arsenal taken a 2-0 lead. We all remember that. So anything can still happen when it comes to this Arsenal side. So he knows that one too well, that it's about staying in close there. And he knows the other part one too well is that Arsenal themselves still have to make the trip to the Etihad Stadium, where they will play Manchester City, and that if Man City win that game, already we're looking, if they can maintain the same sort of distance, is that will be within just 3 points. So anything can happen. The title race for me is still as open as you would have it at the start of the season. Of course, teams like Wolverhampton Wanderers mathematically are out of it, but I keep saying mathematically anything is possible. Whereas miracles do not come very often in football, outliers have happened before, So I think Pep Guardiola, I do not think he's given up just yet. And remember, they are still in many other competitions. They're still in the UEFA Champions League, for which they qualified directly to the round of 16. They are still in the FA Cup. This is the semi-final of the EFL Cup. They are destined for Wembley, where they will meet Arsenal and things like that, So really, that's the significance of the moment and the occasion that it is for Manchester City today for Pep Guardiola. But like I said, speculation on his future will continue until the end of the season, until we have confirmation in the summer, whether or towards the tail end of the season, or even after the season, on whether he will be staying to see out the remainder of his contract, or he will be parting ways with the citizens who seem to be primed for a transition away from Pep Guardiola. I was speaking on in a forum, and I said, while they signed Antoine Semenyo and Jeremy Doku, for me, ordinarily, they've not felt like core Pep Guardiola players. And I could be wrong about that. He could be shifting from the Pep Guardiola that we've come to know to somebody different, because Pep Guardiola has always gone for smaller players, players that a bit, oftentimes with a diminished height, are small and slim. The way you have the Bernardo Silvas, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, that sort of Joao Cancelo, those kinds of players. It's where in the back line that you have those towering John Stones and Joshko Guardiola and things like that. But there's a certain profiling of who typically a Pep Guardiola kind of player was, and Omar Mamush does feel that mold, and so does Tijan Riendas. But I did feel that, first of all, Anton Semenyo is a little too direct. He's often more about his individuality, as a winger, as a forward player, and yet we know that Pep Guardiola is literally that very structured coach who wants to predetermine everything that happens on the pitch. I keep making reference to the example of Thierry Henry, who said at one time he was withdrawn at halftime despite scoring because it did not score in the manner in which he expected the team to score, because it's about the team, not the individual. It's about the process. It's about how they get things done as a team, not your individual brilliance and things like that. Maybe the Spanish gaffer is shifting gears and perhaps trying to move us into a different direction, because it is in this season that we saw him play conservative football, and that was against Arsenal. So maybe we are seeing or bound to see another, a membrane of Pep Guardiola as a coach. So yeah, for me, that's the expectation so far on that side or in that regard. Unless you guys have any divergent view about that. Oh my. Been trying to revisit that second goal from Omar Mamosh, but the speed at which Man City go into that transition. Again, Tijan Riendas carrying the ball, finding Omar Mamosh. He carries the ball. Antoine Semenyo makes the cross. Omar Mamosh is in the right position and he scores. Just a wonderful player. And this season did not start well for him, for Omar Mamush, but he's sort of moved into that. He's sort of moved into that kind of zone or player, So yeah, things are really, really happening for him well as we speak. Meanwhile, this is just coming in. Paul Pogba has been excluded from AEC Monaco's Champions League squad, according to RMC Sports. Director Thiago Scuro says medical staff is focused on finding solutions first so that he returns to the field before the matches. Paul continues to recover from his calf injury. Now, let's talk about Paul Pogba for a moment. Paul Pogba is one of those brilliant players that has graced the pitch, but he's been so troubled with injuries. I remember at one time making reference to sabotage and talking about how there was juju or witchcraft involved. Of course, when you come from realms that do not believe in the existence of black magic and things like that, it's easy to dismiss his claims. But if you come from a society that has either witnessed, experienced, or knows the presence, in factuality, of those kinds of dark arts, then you can't leave anything to chance. Anything is possible. So I do feel for him that Monaco picked him out of the gutters after he served, I think, 1.5 year ban for using, banned substance. I think it was it melodium? This certain melodium, is it melodonia, something like that, a chemical that, which of course he denied having used intentionally. That takes us to the conversation of Mukalo Modric. similar kind of situation, but Monaco took a chance on him. They gave him a contract, and he was happy and glad to get back on the pitch. But unfortunately, injuries have curtailed his progress. He had hoped that getting back on with Monaco, having that bit of consistent play and game time would possibly give him a chance at making it into the finals of the French national side's FIFA World Cup squad. But that now continues or looks like a distant reality every day that goes by. Really. Anyways, so anyways, so yeah, I expect a lot of that to happen. Then Crystal Palace, we spoke about them in the morning. They caught between a rock and a hard stool over um, over Jean Philippe Mateta's situation. He has a knee injury that requires surgery, and they are torn between making a decision for a player to undergo the knife or to let the player play on the way he's been playing on, and then perhaps he gets fired up and possibly makes it to the French side's World Cup squad. The 28 years old French striker has been a standout player for Oliver Glasner, who we know will be leaving the club at the end of the season. And then the other thing is regarding Man United. Now, Man United's finances apparently are in tatters. Their finances are apparently in tatters. Okay. Oh, sorry. I played for 6 years. Oh, you're a soccer player. You played for 6 years. Where did you play at? Tell me more, Isabella. Oh, really? when and where did you play? Hmm? Isabella, when and where did you play? That's interesting. Fayette, Alabama. Oh, okay. Was that like professional soccer or Sunday league, the way you have or corporate league? When it comes to corporate league, it means companies, different companies coming together to play those sort of games, corporate games. And then Sunday league is where it's just about a group of friends from the neighborhood, a local team, things like that. People, especially people in white collar jobs, are coming up on weekends, to have a run in and things like that. You say park and rec, okay? I'm not so much privy to that, but yeah, okay. You played for 6 years, okay. Was it like professional, like where you get paid to play football, or was it amateur football where it's unpaid playing, just about you enjoying the game? Tell me more, Isabella Martin. But thanks for that revelation. So, I was telling you about Man United finances. Apparently, Man United need, and I said this, need to qualify for the UEFA Champions League because, of course, that in itself would come with huge financial additional in terms of value to the club to the tune of no less than £100 million when you look at participation fees, broadcast, broadcast revenue, match day ticket revenue, and things like that, which could be very, very significant. In Man United is a rebuild project. We know that over the summer, they are looking to overhaul, literally, quote unquote, overhaul their midfield and, have it revamped. We know that they want to appoint a new manager. We do not know whether Michael Carrick will impress them enough for them to consider giving him a job and eventually giving him the job on a permanent basis, or they will stick to their guns and say, you're only interim, regardless of how well you perform. We want to go for a more experienced manager one that is already proven in the Premier League and things like that. So we do not know. But according to different sources, their finances are not looking good, and that possibly they may not have the kind of summer that some money in the funds may have anticipated or would anticipate. But then again, also we also had this kind of speculation and rumors at the previous summer, and then they ended up on a summer spending spree when they brought in Bernie Mbeumo for about 71 million pounds. When they brought in Matthias Cunha for 62.5 million pounds. When they brought in Benjamin Sesko for almost close beyond 70 million pounds and things like that. So you say, I'm trying to go to an adult team in soccer, so I'm doing park and rec. So a park and rec is people sign up to play soccer for a month. Okay, okay. We wish you the best of luck in your endeavors when it comes to that respect. We wish you all the best of luck that you may need. Keep up the hard work, keep your head up, and hope for the best. Put in the work and the shift and the grind, and leave everything and leave nothing to chance. So but yeah, that's the speculation regarding Man United that their finances apparently are not where majority of people expect them to be. That with the spending, with all the spending that they did in the summer, and then of course that's why they shied away from January transfer window, and then not to mention the lack of uh, Champions League football or European football for that matter. We know last season they played in the UEFA Europa League has really caused their finances to plummet. We are back for the second half for the game between Newcastle and Man City. However, we may not throughout the entire game. I mean, this game the tie is as good as done with City leading by 3 goals to nil. So there's that. So that's what is happening with Man United. Then Ruben Neves, who has been subject to lots of speculations regarding a potential return to European football, did sign a new deal with Al Hilal until June 2029. So the 28-year-old Portuguese midfielder looks like he's there to stay for at least another 3 years. That's at 26, 27, 28, 29. In fact, almost 4 years. Or for the next 3.5 years. Yes, 3.5 years. So yeah, that deal is, on there. Ah. Anyways, we know that at Bayern Munich, that Upamecano put also pen to paper or agreed to a new contract until June 2030. So when it comes to that, then Fenerbahce had a couple of Bosch transfers. N'Golo Kante among one of those. Darwin Nunes among one of those. Darwin Nunes just left Liverpool in the summer to join, was it Al Hilal? And I mean, this is similar to that deal by John Duran to Al Ittihad, and he already left to Fenerbahce, I think, on loan. So what's not happening to some of these young players or some of these players that are going over to the Saudi Pro League? John Duran got sent out on loan. Hmm. Aha. I was reading up on something here totally not regarding football. It's regarding to our country's career. That's the Uganda Airlines. Ah, Jesus Christ. Anyways, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. But yeah, we are back at it with Manchester City, and they literally are picking up from where they left off in the first half, looking sharp already. Newcastle having to scrap for their lives. Really, um, they're making Kushanov look like a prime Maldini in that backline, and yet he's nowhere near that. He's nowhere near that. But yeah, that's the nature of football. But Man City have made it look less like a semi-final than it is. Oh, okay. Let's look at some of the changes that have been made. We know that Anthony Gordon was withdrawn in the first half for Newcastle, for Harvey Barnes, for what appeared to be an injury. Then in the second half, Joe Willock was withdrawn for Anthony Elanga. Lewis Hall was withdrawn for Jacob Murphy, while Yuan Wissa came on for Nick Voltmada. On the side of Manchester City, Nathan Ake was withdrawn for Max Alenia there. So looks like Pep Guardiola is deciding to reserve some energy because over the weekend they are going to be up against are you going they are going to be up against Liverpool on Super Sunday at 7:30 p.m. there. Are you going live tomorrow? Every single day, Monday to Friday, we are here at 11 p.m. every single night. In the morning at 9, between 9 and 10, that's when we go live. And then on weekends, on Saturdays, sorry, on Friday, we tend to come earlier for the evening broadcast. We come around 9 p.m. Ish or 10, depending. And then on Saturday, we tend to do our broadcast in the morning at around 10, 10:30 to 11 thereabout. That's when we do our broadcast on Saturday. So yeah, and then on Sunday morning, we do not have a broadcast, but Saturday night at 11 p.m. still. Then on Sunday night as well. So every single day of the week, at least we are live twice every day between Monday to Saturday and once on Sundays. So that's usually our routine, unless something does happen to prevent us from being before you or on the in front of your screens. But yeah, we do that every single day to talk about everything football, to talk about the major stories and things that are shaping the game of football. So tomorrow being Thursday, of course, we'll be starting to look at towards the weekend. It's going to be a blockbuster weekend in match day 25 of the Premier League, which kicks off on Friday when Leeds United take on Nottingham Forest. Then on Saturday, United, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Everton, Chelsea, Newcastle all in action. Then Man City on Sunday, Brighton and Crystal Palace on Sunday, and things like that. So, and then now, of course, we also pay a fair level of attention to some of the major players in the Spanish La Liga and elsewhere across Europe from the major 5 leagues to bring you the updates from that side in terms of results and fixtures. Usually we do not go so much deep into the analysis for those respective games across Europe as we tend to do for the Premier League. We do not want to bite more than we can chew. So I remember I used to have a regular fan on here who got pissed that I wasn't focusing on one team in the Premier League that was giving updates for all 20 teams, and found that a bit odd, I don't know if he wanted to have it his way or the highway. I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes we have to cope and live with such people that for whom a difference of opinion is a deal breaker, is a deal breaker. But yeah, also then in some of the other news, this is from the African continent, Morocco are going to contest or challenge the fine handed by CAF to Senegal or the Senegalese Federation. Now, a couple of days back, CAF, that's the Confederation of African Football, did put out disciplinary measures for Senegal and Morocco for their behavior in the final of the Africa Cup of Nations 2025 that took place on 18th January there in Morocco. So in some of the notices put out, of course, is the suspension of Pape Buona Theo, that's the Senegalese head coach, who was banned or suspended for 5 official CAF matches for what was deemed to be unsupporting conduct in violation of CAF disciplinary code principles of fair play and integrity, and for bringing the game into disrepute. There's a penalty appeal from Newcastle. Johan Wissa was brought down in the area, but we'll get back to that in a bit. So then still Pape Thiaw was also fined $100,000. Then 2 Senegalese players in Ilman Chek Ndiaye, that's the Everton forward, and then how did Tijan Reinders miss that? He tried to place it in the bottom corner, but he got it wrong. So Ilman Chek Ndiaye and Ismail Sarr, yes, and Ismail Sarr of Crystal Palace, both were both handed 2 bans, 2 match bans for official CAF matches. And then the Federation for Senegalese football was fined £300,000. Then that's for improper conduct of its supporters, which brought the game into disrepute in violation of the CAF disciplinary code of principles of fair play and integrity. And then an additional fine of $300,000 for unsporting conduct 2 of their players and the technical staff in violation of the disciplinary code of principles. So, and then also the federation was fined an extra $15,000 for misconduct of its national team due to 5 of its players having received cautions. So, in total, Senegal were handed fines that amount to $715,000, which Senegal said will not appeal the decision from CAF. They will pay the fines as is, including paying the fine for the head coach, that is Pape Thiaw. That's the notice that they wrote to CAF. And then on the other side, Morocco were fined a total of $415,000. And those fines, of course, come, first of all, they begin with the suspension of Achraf Hakimi with 2 official CAF matches, with 1 of these matches being suspended for a period of 1 year from the date of the decision for his unsporting behavior. That means if he does anything stupid during the course of 1 year, he then serves the other match ban. So then also, they suspended Moroccan national team player Ismail Sarabia for 3 official CAF matches for his unsporting behavior. Ismail Sarabia was also fined $100,000, while the Moroccan Federation, which is Federation Royale Morocane de Football, FRMF, was fined $200,000 for the inappropriate behavior of the stadium's ball boys during the aforementioned match. You remember them getting embroiled in a fight over Benjamin's towel that the Senegalese substitute goalkeeper was protecting, and things like that. I forget the other goalkeeper's name. Then also the federation was fined an extra $100,000 for improper conduct of their national team players and technical staff who invaded the VAR area and obstructed the referee's work in violation of the principles of fair play and integrity. Isabella says, I have to go. Thank you so much, Isabella, for spending the time that you've spent with us. Thank you so much. We do not take your love and support for granted. We wish you a blessed night and rest of your time. Bye-bye to you. For the others, we continue with the discussion and look to wrap it up in the next couple of minutes as that game continues, and we are beyond the 1 hour mark with Man City still leading by 3 goals to nil and 5-0 on aggregate. So then the federation was also fined an extra £15,000 for the use of lasers by its supporters during the aforementioned match. So the total of fines handed to Morocco, including the federation and one of their players in Ismail Sarabia, amount to 415,000, dollars. But Morocco, like I said, they are going to contest some of these disciplinary measures by the Confederation of African Football Associations. I don't think they will win, by the way. I don't think they will win that battle. I don't know how it will go, but the chances of winning it seem a bit far. Oh, Newcastle through Malik Thiaw trying to have a go at it, but it's not happening for them. Anyways, guys, it's been a pleasure doing this with you, rolling with you for the last 1 hour. I want to send my special shout outs to you, Isabella Martin, for being part of us. Muhammad Moez, thank you so much. Chatan, always a pleasure to have you around. And every single one of you, Daniel Tuton, Akelo Sakos, Arkes Sakos, and every single one of you that are chipped in for tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay blessed, and bye-bye for now.